Good evening, everyone. Anyone that knows me knows I'm a big fan of accessories. However, this is one accessory I was truly hoping to not have to wear all year long. But wear them we did, the teachers and the children, and we were all just fine. Better than fine. We were good, healthy, and in school for the entire year. And not just in school, but experiencing the magic of a CCNS experience. It is what I'm most proud of this year. Despite the restrictions and additional policies, the year felt very much as it did during a non-COVID year. Our classroom ran with just as much freedom and creativity, community and friendship, investigation and discovery as it usually does. And although we missed our daily interactions with our third teachers, the parents, Jess and I and our little pod of 10 active learners enjoyed our days together so much. This is truly a special class. They enjoy each other, they play together, and they look out for one another. Some days, Jess and I joked that they didn't even need us. If there was ever going to be a year to have a small and easy class, we are grateful that it was this year. But let's go back to accessories for a moment. Our year started off with our visitation day photos being taken with masks on. We read books about masks and why they were important, as well as other safety things we had to do differently in order to keep each other safe, such as air hugs and heart kisses. This is a very affectionate class. When we made our self-portrait heads with our correct skin color, hair color, and eye color, we decided to make them even more realistic by designing masks. We made Play-Doh in individual bags and designed our snack mats to use with our snacks from home, a bit of blending our usual activities with some added safety. We created our classroom rules of safe, kind, and responsible, and learned a lot about the way we look, the way we feel, our names, and our preferences. We talked about the importance of recycling and composting and decided to revive the raised garden. It was during this process that our first project of the year began. As we investigated the compost, we discovered that there were not any worms in the soil. Red wigglers are needed for the composting process. 3 years ago, one of my classes added 200 worms to those crates, and this year we couldn't find any. So we decided to order them and add them back. This began our interest in worms, and our worm study wiggled into the classroom. Jake and Will found a large earthworm outside, and from that day on, everyone was a worm hunter. We found worms on the playground, red wigglers came in the mail, and I even entered the bait store in Norwalk for the first time to buy a large box of night crawlers for us to examine. We formed our questions and began our research. As part of the study, we decided to build a worm hotel for the night crawlers and the other worms we found on the playground. As we couldn't go on a field site visit, we did our investigating on the playground and in the classroom, watching the worms move, leave their slime, and burrow in the worm hotel. We drew them, held them, compared them, and eventually replicated them out of clay. We even made a large earthworm, complete with 5 hearts and covered in slime, that the Smiths were so excited to win in the raffle. We ended our project with our culminating event, holding a worm museum at the bottom of the driveway where parents could talk to the new worm experts and hear all about their work. This was a big project for Jess, as she's never even held a worm before our project this year. And by the end of the project, she was rescuing them along with the children. In between rescuing worms, we planted a fall garden, learned about Vincent van Gogh, made leaf creatures, carved pumpkins, learned about percussion instruments, did yoga, and made slime. We then put down the worms and picked up the cookies, gingerbread cookies. With the first half of the year ending at Thanksgiving, families that had previous children in the forest class or had heard about the magic were very concerned that their children would miss out on the gingerbread literature study. As it has become an integral part of their last year at CCNS, we could not disappoint, and we all needed a little magic. So November became the month of reading over 21 gingerbread stories, having a gingerbread bakery in class, and making small cookies, as well as a large gingerbread girl who kept the magic alive running through the school until she was caught in our gingerbread bakery and eaten. She just had to run away after all the other children and teachers had left for the day. In between eating sweets, we solved the problem of helping the gingerbread man cross the river, learned about dissolving in case he didn't make it across the river, sewed our own puppets, and wrote our own stories. After a long break, we explored light tables, focused on 3D shapes, learned about our families, and several abstract artists. We tested magnets, treated animals in our veterinary office, enjoyed a few weeks of good snow, made snowmen, explored ice, and created our own versions of the story The Mitten. We designed and tested our own boats, made catapults and wrecking balls out of loose parts, designed mazes for hex bugs, opened a pizza parlor, made pizza for our picnic lunch, and answered over 150 daily morning questions. In March, my 13-year-old nephew Jake got a pet ball python named Astrid. He started sending me videos, which I shared with the class. Astrid became our daily video pal, much like a pen pal back in the day. The children were curious, interested, and had questions. Hence, project number 2 slithered its way into our classroom. Jess was really hoping we'd end up with a pizza project, but the children's interests were much more focused on the snakes. Jake was one of our experts, as was my cousin, Dr. Glore, a renowned herpetologist at the University of Kansas, who took us behind-the-scenes tour at their specimen library, where we saw lizards that look like worms and worms that look like snakes and more. We also did have a real visitor outside when Emily from the Darien Nature Center brought her ball python Otto for the children to hold. Jess mustered up her bravery once again to hold her very first snake, and by the end of the study, she was pointing out snakes she thought were cute and even debating having one as a pet. She has truly shocked her family this year. Once again, the children did incredible research, made amazing representations of their learning, creating miniature models of the snakes of Connecticut in their habitats, along with a life-size model of Astrid in her tank. We culminated this study on the windiest day of the year with our snake museum outside on the driveway. We even had our guest, Astrid and Jake, on video chat so parents and children could talk to Jake one-on-one. We wrapped up our year studying Georgia O'Keeffe, playing in a sandwich shop, making sandwiches for another picnic lunch. Sun butter and pickles, anyone? We learned about the guitar and we raised butterflies. The caterpillars metamorphosizing in front of us is such a perfect metaphor for the growth and change we have seen in these children. And like the many different masks that they have worn each day, we will remember their unique and beautiful personalities. We are so very proud of them, and we will miss them. And going back to accessories for a final time, as I was thinking of the children and our COVID year together, I thought there's no better way to remember them than to think of what mask I would design for each of them. So please join me in a little mask fashion show. We have Amanda's mask. It's reversible because she was often a quiet kitty outside on the playground, but she could easily turn into a fierce tiger, holding her own and asserting herself with her peers. Clark's mask had to be a tire, and when he wears it, he has to continuously move his head in a circle while singing the ABCs, as we have never had a child more passionate about the tire swing. Eleanor's mask could be nothing other than a heart, as her empathy was spread far and wide daily to her classmates, and she was so affectionate, hence the air hugs and heart kisses we had to impose. This Darth Vader mask had to be created for 5, complete with sound effects, as there was not a day this year that Star Wars was not debated, discussed, or acted out on the playground. Jake's mask is a clown face, as he loves to make people laugh with his jokes and funny sayings, including the first one that caught me off guard. Guess what? What? Chicken butt, which is now a favorite of my 20-somethings at home. Maddie's mask wouldn't be complete without a crown, as she is convinced she is a princess and she is destined to become a queen someday. She came to school every day, dressed and ready to meet her fate. Mila's mask has the CrossFit symbol on it. She moved tires, logs, and tree cookies like a champ, swung from the monkey bars like it was easy, and did moves on the tire swing that made my abs hurt. Miles fell in love with the story of the Nutcracker and played that role on the playground with such flair that a soldier prince Nutcracker mask had to be his. Rose's mask has a symbol of the Red Cross, the organization that is the epitome of helping and nurturing those in need. From teachers to peers, she was always the first to compliment, aid, or comfort those around her. And lastly, Will's mask has to be assembled before wearing, as he loves to figure out how to fit loose parts together and use the building materials to create structures, machines, or vehicles. Like these masks that kept us safe and productive this year, there are some more important PPE that needs recognizing. The parents of our class that trusted us with their children, washed masks daily, sent in full outdoor gear no matter the weather, engaged in family homework, sent in plants and recyclables, commented on Hi Mama, came to culminating events, and expressed their thanks and support often. The board, who demonstrated their gratitude for the hard work of the staff by granting COVID days and bonuses and working hard to fundraise and to keep a sense of community even during a pandemic. I truly appreciate your dedication and selfless volunteer hours. To the staff of CCNS, Leanie, Adele, Carolyn, Wendy, and our newest additions, Clara, Sophia, and Mary Nevin, you were worried and you were scared, but you put the children first each and every day and gave them a magical experience in the midst of such uncertainty and so much change. I have never been prouder to work beside you, and I thank you for your dedication. To Tracy, although we were physically separated for much of the year, from the daily meetings that started in July that seemed to continue until, well, they haven't stopped. Well, I felt blessed to have such a strong partner to plan with, play devil's advocate with, commiserate with, and rally with. Thank you for everything you have done to make sure we all had a safe, fiscally viable, fully stocked, and smooth operating machine so that we could focus on the children. And lastly, to Jess. It was you and me against the world, or really the virus, this year, from scrubbing each and every magnetile, to finding ways to make each child feel so special, to plying me with baked goods, or making me laugh when I was frustrated. I know that your incredible efforts made my days easier and much more enjoyable. So please, join me in a toast to accessories. Let's hope that this one is going out of style.